Hiya, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Joy Gonoje, and in this video, I want to be sharing with us some tips, like just a few tips on how to answer NHS interview questions. So you're a nurse, you're a midwife, and you're applying for a job, a nursing or midwifery job in the NHS. How will you answer some of your questions? What attitude will you display when you're being asked this question? So if you want to learn more, stick around. Cool down. Hiya, welcome back. So this video is talking about how to answer NHS questions, like I said. So the first thing you want to do is you want to be confident when you're answering the question. This is like the most important part of it. Whether you have the knowledge on it or not, you want to be confident when you're giving your answers. You don't want to be fidgeting, because there are some things now, you have the knowledge, that this particular thing you're being asked, but because you're scared, you don't know, if you're not sure of yourself, you tend to fidget and you see yourself getting it wrong, getting the interview wrong, and failing it woefully. So just be confident, carry this confidence mentality, even if you don't know the question you'll be asked, or you did not hear the question correctly. Ask the interviewer, please ma'am, please sir, what did you say? Can you repeat the question? The person will gladly and happily repeat it. And if it's something you don't know about, answer what you know about it and tell the person that this is all I know. I don't know this particular thing. Or I'm sure, like, all the questions that you're being asked at some point or the other in your practice as a nurse, as a midwife, you must have encountered such things. So in all the questions, I don't think there's anything you don't know, except something that has to do with UK practice and stuff. And then you can tell the person, the interviewer, I don't know this particular thing you're asking me. Say that confidently, and the person will understand, and the person will know that, okay, yes, this person has not done this thing before in his or her country, so that's why this person does not know this thing. I'm not saying don't study for your interview questions. Definitely study material, study things, and study your notes, but then answer questions boldly. For things you don't know, boldly say, I don't know the thing. So another thing is, when you're answering NHS interview questions, you want to know the values of NHS, know the NHS values, and especially know the values of the trust you're applying for, the trust that you're having interview with. Like the trust values, if it's respect, dignity, and safety, whatever it is, just know the values for the trust that you're applying to, and the trust you're having interview with, so that when you're asked, like, what are the trust values, you'll be able to say it easily. And then when you're asked, like, how does this value relate to you as a person, you'll be able to give that answer boldly and confidently. And also, because they're going to ask, some of them used to ask, almost everyone used to ask, like, how does this value relate to you as a person? You know that you're going to apply it, like, this is how this value, for instance, respect, this is how this value relates to me as a person, as a nurse, as a midwife. And then you ask, give a situation where you've respected. If one of the values of the trust is respect, give a situation where you've respected the patient under your care. So you want to give a scenario where you've been practicing before. You want to give a scenario where you've had a patient, and something happened, and you gave the patient respect, or gave the relative respect, and at the end of the day they were happy with your care and stuff like that. So they want to hear you say that story out boldly and confidently as well. Even if you're mincing words, just keep talking, keep saying things, keep making the mistakes confidently. And if they ask you, explain how patient care is something you're passionate about. You are a nurse or you're a midwife, and you know that passion is one of the things that made you to enter the profession to start with. Am I not right? So passion is one of the reasons why you entered you came into the profession. So explain how this is it. Like, explain how you're passionate about patient care. Give a scenario where you've been passionate about patient care. Give a scenario where you've advocated for a patient. There are many stories in our lives. There are many encounters we face, like in the hospital, in the community, in our daily interactions with our patients and stuff. We've had things like that. So they want to hear you say those stories out, and say how you've contributed to them, like to your patients as well. And also, you know some also ask, like, explain how you would impact the NHS positively with your role, like how you will perform your role, and how your role will impact the NHS positively. So you want to explain something like this as well, like, okay, in when I'm giving patient care, I'll make sure that everything I do is in line with what the patient wants. It's something that will help the patient to develop, to, get better, and it's not something that would harm the patient. The NHS core value, I think, is just about patient safety, like patient safety. Um, it's just patient safety. I don't even know if that's in their flag anyways, but if I think of the NHS, all I think about is patient safety. I don't know why. It just keeps ringing in my head anytime I think of the NHS. They are all just concerned. They are just concerned about safety of the patient all the time. Anything you're doing, whether you're drinking coffee in the coffee room, think about patient safety. Whether you're doing this in this one, think about patient safety. It's very, very important to the NHS, and that's what it stands for. So anything you're doing, anything you're doing as a role or anything at all, always have that at the back of your mind, that this is what I'm here to do. This is the thing that will be that will be expected of me as a nurse, as a midwife, as a doctor, as a healthcare assistant. This is what will be expected of me. The NHS values patient care a lot, like they value patient safety a lot. And I've also experienced it as a patient in the NHS, because I've gotten treatment from the NHS, and I see like how I am being cared for by the nurses that are taking care of me, by the doctors, like with all this smile, joy, and just to make sure that I am fine as a patient. And I've done this as well for my patients, for the patients under my care, just to make sure they feel better, and when they go home, like, they don't have any regret about coming to the hospital. So when you're answering NHS interview questions, always make sure that you reiterate how your role, like how you perform your role to make sure that the patient you're caring for is safe. Okay, so those are the few tips I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Bye bye.